Welcome back. It's time for our Small Business Spotlight. When it comes to government contracts, we are smack dab in the most important season of the year. From now until October, the majority of government contracts are awarded. Small businesses should be cranking up their sales and proposal engines to win work that will sustain them for the months and years to come. But our experts say the climate is not small business friendly right now. So we brought them in for some advice. Judy Bradt is CEO of Summit Insight. She brings more than 25 years experience in helping established companies win federal business contracts. And Marissa Levin, our small business expert and CEO of Information Experts, who has lived through government contracting for 20 years. Ladies, welcome to you both. Judy, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a while. Marissa, always here to give us good advice. So let's start with just the upshot of why it's not a small business friendly environment in government contracting.
So small businesses have always had to fight for their fair share. We do not have the padding and the budget that larger companies have, even though there are lots of small business set-aside programs. When push comes to shove, we don't have the budgets that larger companies have. And with the lowest price technically acceptable mandate, our labor categories have been slashed. And in the last 2.5 years, it's been a bloodbath. And when you add to that we are at the mercy of a lot of large primes and their rates are being cut as well, they're now taking our seats on contracts that initially were ours. So we're dealing with rising healthcare costs. We're dealing with lowest price technically acceptable. We're dealing with a lot of fear in the government environment that they're afraid their budgets are not going to be renewed or they're going to be cut. And we're dealing with primes that we depend on that are also protecting their own bottom line. So it's very, very difficult.
Suffice to say, you like a challenge. You managed to not just survive the bloodbath, but thrive. And you've been working with Judy for a long time. So Judy, let me turn to you. First, explain to our audience quickly why this current climate of congressional gridlock, it makes it especially difficult for small businesses trying to get contracts.
Well, in this time of year, because it's an election year, Congress is going to finish its session in August and members are going to go home to campaign probably without passing the budget. That's not going to happen probably till after the election when there's more uncertainty in both House and Senate about who's got control and what the priorities are going to be. Therefore, Congress is only going to be passing temporary spending measures that are only going to give agencies a little bit of their budget. They're going to be breathing on fumes, doing just the essential things, paying salaries, keeping the lights on, doing maintenance, but big spends are not going to start happening until after the first of the new year, after January 1st, when Congress does pass a full budget.
And so you're not one to be deterred either. So you say there's still opportunity and there's still ways for small businesses to get in there. So let's tick off your top 5 rules. First, you say remember your ABCs. Explain remember your ABCs to us, starting with coal your A-list.
Absolutely. Anybody that's successful in this market has been having these conversations with their prospects all year. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Is it time yet? It's time to go back to everybody on that list who's been telling you mañana is mañana now and call that list. If it's no longer a prospect, then dump it onto the C list. Stuff that isn't happening this year. It's happening some other time. Concentrate on the stuff that is gonna happen.
So don't just call your A list, revisit your B list and update your C list. And you say better to scratch them off entirely than to hang on to something that's not happening.
Right. Concentrate on the stuff that's going to happen. The B list is the people that have been saying, maybe we're going to do it at the end of the year. Now come back to them and say, is it time?
Marissa, another part of that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that we have learned over 20 years is to go deep and not to go wide. So when you know what you can offer to the government, you really focus on the agencies that are buying your product or service. You do not try to get into many, many agencies. You focus on a narrow list of agencies that really can benefit from you, and you focus on that.
Is that think small too? Because I want to go through the whole list. So number 2 is think small too. We've only got a minute and a half, so we've got to get through all 5. Think small too. And number 3, hit sweet spots before long shots. Explain both of those.
Sweet spots before long shots is exactly what Marissa was saying. Think small too. Federal agencies can spend up to $3,000 this afternoon, pay you on a credit card with no competition. So come with your list of 3 things you can do for under $3,000 and you might just get that very first win and squeak it into the wire.
Yeah. And number 4, refresh your outreach. Number 5, know your vehicles. And you're not talking your fleet vehicles. So Judy, why don't you tackle number 4, refresh your outreach, and Marissa, number 5.
Refresh your outreach means get back in touch with the small business specialists and your contacts, at least by giving them an updated capability statement, remind them that you're there, and ask the question, who do you know who would like some more of this fabulous experience we've been giving you? Who else should you introduce me to? Who else should I be talking to?
And Marissa, know your vehicles.
So know your vehicles. When small businesses have a very small pool of money to be applying to both sales and marketing, when you're going after contracts, you really need to look how much it's going to cost you to go after a certain contract, knowing that if you are awarded something where there are multiple vendors that have been awarded for, say, example, a blanket purchase agreement, you're then going to have to compete at the task order level. You really need to know what the potential for protest is, what your competition level is. You need to be really, really careful about where you're putting your money.
Ladies, got to wrap, but this is good advice for all businesses, especially small businesses going after those typical government contracts. So thanks so much for joining us on Washington Business Report.
Thank you.
Coming up, a surprise presidential D.C. business drive-by. Plus, another executive departs Washington's biggest startup. And is the FBI moving to your backyard? Those topics in the roundtable next.